here, weren't you? Yes. You loved it. My name is Kevin Caulfield and I live in Shepherd's Bush in West London. I'm a disabled person and I'm a disabled person that's required assistance since the early 90s when I first applied to the Independent Living Fund. I can't really tell you how much difference the Independent Living Fund has made to my life. It's meant that I've been able to live a pretty good life since the early 90s because of the support I received from the Independent Living Fund. So my support package currently with transfer, so I need 2 people during the day, in the morning and night to transfer, and at some points during the day. So the package totals 25 hours a day, which includes 2 people transfers during the day. So it's quite significant. But that's enabled me to stabilise my health, and it's improved quite a lot. I've been able to work during the last 20 years, 15 years particularly. I've been able to go to college. I'm training to be a barrister. We're using domiciliary care agencies which were not meeting my needs, so a different person was coming from the agency every day. I was having to go to bed at a, I was a man in my 30s and I was having to go to bed at 9:30, 10 o'clock in the evening. The stress and an anxiety of having different people every day and giving them the same instructions and was incredibly stressful, particularly for somebody who's recently acquired a significant impairment and is coming to terms with lots of changes in their lives. As I said earlier, it's really what is important is the relationship and somebody who's supporting you, who, and they're just small things, but when you add them up, if somebody comes in every day who's different, who doesn't know where the tea bags are and doesn't know, it's a day's work just explaining things to people. And I mean, the great thing about having a package that you're in control of is that you employ people, you have people around you and in your home that you want there, not people that are forced upon you. And a lot of agencies had issues with because the workers, for example, weren't allowed to drive. Well, I work in Brixton and I live in Shepherd's Bush, so if I can't have somebody that can drive, I can't get to work. And the answer is not to transfer the existing 19,000, 20,000 disabled people with significant impairments to local authorities, where all that's going to happen is that they're just going to get less. And we should be galvanising a movement to improve the support available to disabled people and not be colluding with this notion of the lowest common denominator, which is offering people the bare minimum, and the bare minimum leads to greater inequalities in health. People who may not get supported through the current banding system, so they might have low or moderate needs that are not being met, will often end up developing more quickly more significant needs, or they will be using the health service much earlier than they would have needed to had they been supported through a social care budget. I mean, what's great about the Independent Living Fund, and particularly when we're in a situation of such savage cuts being made to the resources available for disabled people to be included as equal members of society, is that the Independent Living Fund assessment really is based on your needs, and you don't feel that someone's coming with a cash register next to them and the assessment is really based on people's needs and not solely on budgets and how much you can get away with paying people. Whereas it feels more as things are being cut, it's almost becoming a bartering system where local authorities are getting away with under-resourcing people's care packages to a level that's, even if it's not legally a breach of somebody's human rights, morally and in every other sense it's a breach of people's human rights. We're moving more and more backwards into a charity model where you are not independent and you're not in control of your care package, and we're going to be more and more reliant on, as some people suggest, their neighbours and their local community, and which is just absolutely unacceptable in 2013 to even be suggesting that. And I don't think my neighbour is 82, and so our neighbours are people also that need, people who need support, and it's just some pie in the sky dream that people have that I can't think of a neighbour that's going to start coming with me to work or to college or whatever. So it looks like that the transfer of packages will not come with any ring-fence money. So anybody who has higher support needs, will then be reassessed by their local authority, can only be in fear that they're going to get less resources than they do now. And it's difficult when social workers have become more like gatekeepers of finances rather than advocates of disabled people's needs. I mean, that's a generalisation, and that's not all social workers, but public sector workers are under so much pressure to make cuts and that it's difficult. And it just means that more and more disabled people are going to have to challenge decisions legally. You know, everyone you talk to, lots of disabled people can really quickly identify the real increase in the level of representation, particularly through the media, of people as scroungers and people committing fraud, and even though the government's own figures and Department of Work and Pension figures on fraud, for example, in relation to disability living allowance, are quite low, it is clearly a well thought out policy decision to hugely restrict the amount of resources that are available to people through this welfare state and through benefit system.